Welcome to This Week in Music History. I'm Clifford Clef. For our first bit of history, on this week in 1938, on the 4th of July, famed American singer, songwriter, and musician Bill Withers was born. The child of a maid and a miner, and the youngest of 6 children, he lived a hard young life, in part due to a stuttering impairment that separated him from the people around him, making him a bit of a loner and outcast. At 17, he enlisted in the Navy, where he served for 9 years. After his service, he moved to California, and while working factory jobs, he saw famous musician Lou Rawls performing in a club. Bill was inspired not just because of his lifelong love and talent for music, but because of how much he heard Lou was earning, and how much attention Lou was receiving. Bill saved every extra penny he had until he could buy a guitar, and then he recorded music on his own. That music was noticed by Clarence Avant, founder of Sussex Records. While working his factory job, Bill would record his first album, Just As I Am, featuring one of his greatest known songs, Aint No Sunshine. The cover for the album was even shot at his factory job site, featuring Bill holding his lunchbox. The record was a smash hit, propelling him to fame and fortune, where he would go on to write and record timeless classics like Lean On Me, Lovely Day, Use Me, Just the Two of Us, and more. Bill's songs may have been gentle, and his voice like a pillow to the ear holes, but his messages and lyrics are some of the greatest in music history. His gift for understated songs and timeless melodies will forever be a staple in our culture. Withers was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2015, and his music is influential and inspirational to countless artists and musicians of all kinds in every genre. I, for one, say thank you for all the amazing music, Mr. Withers, and thank you for your service. For more information on stuttering, you can contact the National Stuttering Association at westutter.org. You can also follow Mr. Withers' official page and songs mentioned here in the links below. Moving on, this week on July 5th, 1954, on his first professional recording session with guitarist Scotty Moore and bass player Bill Black, a young up-and-coming musician named Elvis Presley fools around during a break with an up-tempo version of the song That's All Right. Producer Sam Phillips has them repeat the jam and records it. It becomes Presley's first release on Sun Records. Elvis would go on to become one of the most polarizing figures in the history of music, with over 100 top 40 hits and 18 number ones. He was also legendary outside of music and had an infamous appetite, especially revolving around peanut butter and bacon. Oh, the sandwiches he ate. In his later years, he single-handedly increased jumpsuit production around the world. Even today, Elvis is hugely popular for people attempting to impersonate him, and his personality looms large wherever the glitz and glamour of a casino is located. Viva Las Vegas! In other news, one of the most important meetings in the history of modern music took place on the 6th of July, 1957. It was on this day John Lennon and Paul McCartney met for the first time at the Woolton Church Parish Fete, where the music group The Quarrymen were appearing. As the Quarrymen were setting up for their evening performance, McCartney, eager to impress Lennon, picked up a guitar and played 20 Flight Rock and Bebop-A-Lula. Lennon was very impressed, and even more so when McCartney showed Lennon and Eric Griffiths how to tune their guitars, something they'd been paying someone else to do for them. It was the beginning of what many consider the best band to ever play, and in just 8 years they tallied up 20 number 1 hits and 34 top 10 hits on the Billboard charts. Many of their hits staying on the charts for extremely long periods of time. Once George Harrison and Ringo Starr were in the band, their songs, performances, and popularity was second to none. Even to this day, the Beatles are to many the gold standard of songwriting and performance, and two of them are still around and performing at high levels with Paul's solo band and Ringo's band of all-stars. Even their children have become iconic in their own right, with Ringo's son Zach being the longtime drummer for the band The Who, and Paul's daughter becoming a fashion icon. The Beatles' positivity and impact on society has impacted us all for over 60 years. Not too shabby, fellas. For our final bit of music history this week, Blackboard Jungle, released in 1955, was the first Hollywood film to feature a rock and roll soundtrack. Teenagers across the world were so excited about it that many danced in the aisles when the music was played. Some went further, tearing up seats and creating riots at cinemas where the film was shown. It might have been expected that a young, sultry, sexy heartthrob such as Elvis Presley would have caused the commotion, but he was relatively unknown at the time. No, the man behind the movie mayhem was a middle-aged performer who sported a curious kiss curl on his hair and had been regarded as one of the top cowboy yodelers in America. His name was Bill Haley, and he was born on the 6th of July, 1925. William John Clifton Haley from Michigan in the States developed a strong love for country music and began playing guitar and singing. He left school at 14 to follow a career in music, played with various country and western bands, and established himself as a singing and yodeling cowboy. He first appeared on record in the 1940s. By 1952, Haley headed a group called Bill Haley and His Comets, inspired by the celestial phenomenon Halley's Comet. They had discarded their cowboy hats and other country paraphernalia, switching to the more popular rhythm and blues sound. The single Rock Around the Clock was released in 1954 and scraped into the bottom of the charts, selling 75,000 copies. But the following year, it was used on the soundtrack of Blackboard Jungle, the film which starred Glenn Ford as a teacher dealing with rebellious students, including a young Sidney Poitier, was a huge hit, and Haley's re-released song shot up the charts, spending 8 weeks at #1 in America and other parts of the world. Though he recorded several other successful songs, such as See You Later, Alligator, Shake, Rattle and Roll, and Crazy Man, Crazy, it was Rock Around the Clock that established Haley as a megastar and led to him being described as the father of rock and roll. Appropriate, really, since he was old enough to be the father of millions of youngsters who bought his records. Sightless in his left eye due to a botched operation when he was a child, Haley adopted his trademark kiss curl early in his career, attempting to draw attention away from his blind eye. But nobody cared, and in the late 50s he enjoyed huge success on stage, screen, and in the recording studio. In 2010, Turner Classic Movies listed the soundtrack of Blackboard Jungle among the top 15 most influential movie soundtracks of all time. In 1979, Haley was diagnosed with a brain tumor and died in February of 1981. In the years that followed his death, surviving members of the Comets, all in their 70s and 80s, continued to work together and attract sellout crowds in Europe during the 1990s and early 2000s. In February 2006, the International Astronomical Union announced the naming of asteroid 79896 as Bill Haley, honoring the 25th anniversary of Bill Haley's death. Haley will be immortalized among the stars. Thanks for tuning in to This Week in Music History. I'm Clifford Clef. We'll see you next time.